We heard Justin say last night a couple of times about how, he's overcome some things in his life, some adversity. How have you seen him overcome the lows that he hit, if any, with you, and what does that say about his personality?
I think it's one of the most important traits of being successful in the NFL. When you think about the guys who make it in that league, they can overcome adversity, and he's done that. Just maybe, looking for an example, I thought after the Indiana game, that was a hard game for him to kind of overcome. And then he turns around a couple of weeks later and plays the best game of his career against Clemson in the biggest stage in college football, really. And so, to see him kind of, work through those type of things, transferring over from Georgia to Ohio State, just to kind of walk into that locker room, we're a proud program, with a lot of guys who, think very, very highly of our culture, and to bring somebody in like that is not easy. And then to be a leader, the way he stepped in and kind of, grabbed onto the locker room early on. And then also, there was adversity, as he stepped into that role of, can he be what everyone thought he was going to be coming out of high school, which is a very highly recruited player playing at Ohio State. And there's a lot that comes with that and the expectations. And so passed all those tests and now on to the next thing.
What about his personality enabled him to handle that sort of pressure?
I think when you look at Justin, he burns hot on the inside, but you can't always see it. He's pretty even keeled. He doesn't, get real emotional. At least you can't see it from the outside. He kind of keeps it close to the vest. But I know that, just whether it was, when he first got here, coming off the Clemson loss last year, and now even just kind of going through this whole draft process, you can see he gets motivated quickly. His competitive fire gets lit quickly. And I know he's really anxious to get going here.
Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune.
Ryan, thanks a lot for doing this. I'm curious from your perch how you saw and oversaw Justin's evolution from an outstanding athlete into a guy who could be a mastermind as a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very athletic, as you know, and he's big and he's strong and he's got running skills. But we didn't just run him in our offense, like you said. We have an NFL style offense, and he really grabbed onto that. I think the first thing for him was just the work in the classroom, understanding protections and route structures, defensive structures, how teams are trying to attack him. There was just some really good points, especially in this past year, the second year we had with him. I just one offhand that was just really well. He recognizes that, one of the guys is blitzing, and we actually side adjust the route, change the route on the run. He throws to Jeremy Record for a touchdown. That was one example, just changing protections, seeing, in game. There was a game in the play in the Clemson game that we didn't even run going into that week. We kind of put it up on the sideline. It was a play that we had run, previously, but he was able to do that. And so I think that's part of his evolution was just, the mental part of the game. The physical part, I think he just became more and more comfortable in the pocket. And you can see that as the last couple of years evolved.
You also mentioned the Indiana game, and others have mentioned that game as well. I'm curious what you think the lessons learned from that game were for Justin, and the growth that he made from that's applicable to his continued growth as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for all of us at Ohio State, it was a unique season. And when you start to lose games and you don't have a lot of, body of work, and you have an opportunity to impress, whether it's for a Heisman race or to be a first round draft pick, it's just very natural to try to, force the action. And that's really what happened, and he kind of owned it, and we made that adjustment, moved on, and it really never happened again. And it was an anomaly. So, and I think maybe one thing that played into that was the first play of the game. We throw an 80-yard pass, and then on the second play, we throw a touchdown, and it was like, okay, we're just going to roll on these guys. And I think maybe that's kind of what he expected. But that's part of the growing process. And the only way that you learn is by failing. But can you overcome that and then make sure things like that don't happen again? And that's what he proved.
Jason Leisure, Chicago Sun-Times.
Ryan, what did you think of his the toughness he showed at the end of the season, playing through those injuries in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, in 2 years, he missed really just a couple plays. One, he took a helmet to the knee in the team up north game, sprained his MCL, went out to the sideline, put a knee brace on, and the next play scrambled to his left to a 30-yard touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to Garrett Wilson. And then in that Clemson game, took one of the more vicious shots I've seen in a long time. And then the first play back, he comes in, rolls out, throws a touchdown pass to Chris Olave, and then never came out of either of those games. And I just think that that's his toughness. That's his competitive toughness. And when you're projecting somebody into the NFL, you better be tough. You better be physically tough and mentally tough. You're not going to be able to survive in that league if you're not willing to take shots, because you're going to take shots in the pocket and you got to sustain through a whole season. But then mentally tough, because, you're exposed. And he knows that. He knows that from being at Ohio State. And I think that's where he's going to have a quick, transition. But he's mentally and physically tough.
Adam Johns, The Athletic.
Hey, Ryan, I want to go back to 2019 when he transfers there. And just from an intangible sense, how did you see him connect with the teammates almost right away? How did you see him show that leadership? How did you see him connect with the coaches right away? Like, what type of jolt was provided to the team there?
He has a quiet confidence that kind of permeates around the locker room. You can feel it, you can see it. And I think when you get on the field, the guys believe in him because he can do so much. But he also really lives his life the right way. He's not all over the place. Really this whole season, it was him and his dog in his apartment. And he was at the Woody Hayes Center. That was it. And so I think, he demands this respect of the team because of who he is, his character, his talent level, what he does on the field, but then also how he carries himself. And, everyone has their own leadership style. He can get after you if need be, but he also can put his arm around you and connect with you that way and kind of pull guys along with you. So he'll do the same thing there. And it doesn't just happen overnight. You have to get the respect of the locker room first. And that's, I know that's first on his mind.
Hub Arkush, Pro Football Weekly.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for doing this. I know you shouldn't be asked to discuss any medical issues or anything like that with Justin, but I'm curious, was there ever a time when you were forced to adjust any schedules, procedures, practices, anything that you might normally have wanted to do to allow for, Justin's condition?
No. The only time we ever had to adjust anything was really leading up to the national championship game when he could barely get out of bed because of the shot he took in the Clemson game, but he still found a way to play in that game and actually play okay without really practicing. But other than that, he was one of the first guys in the facility every day, hardworking, and really never missed anything.
So, but being aware, I assume, of this epilepsy question or concern, nothing relative to that caused you to do anything special?
We were aware of it, but Justin was very, very professional and mature about it. He took his medicine and we never had an issue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Hogue, NBC Sports Chicago.
Hey, Ryan. We heard a little bit about your relationship with Matt Nagy. I'm just curious what the background is there and how you guys know each other and maybe some of the conversations that you guys had leading up to this pick.
Yeah, our relationship goes back to when we played each other in college. He was a quarterback at Delaware. I was at New Hampshire. We had some great battles against each other. And we've stayed in touch. And just, through, when I was in the NFL, he was in the NFL as a quarterback coach. And so we kind of stayed in touch that way. And then when he got to the Bears, he would call about some of our players, always really good. One of the better guys I've been around, just asking questions. And then even as early as, when Justin got here, he and I would talk about Justin a little bit. And I got to give Matt credit, Ryan Pace credit, everybody in the Bears organization. I thought they did an unbelievable job in this process, not only, asking all the right questions, but I think this is a great fit. And the way that they went about their business was really professional. and I feel great for them. But I hope our relationship can help along the way. Anytime anybody in the NFL asks us for access about our players, we try to do it. But it was great to have that extra relationship with Matt. And I know Ryan was a huge part of this as well. And they have a great staff. So I'm excited for the city of Chicago to see Justin Fields. And this is going to be a fun time to be a part of and watch from Columbus. But we're all Bears fans now, and really happy for Matt and for Ryan.
Chris Emma, 670 The Score.
Hey, Ryan, following up on that, there was a report that conversation you had with Matt Nagy this fall, and you used the term generational talent to describe Justin Fields. Can you confirm you said that, first of all, and just kind of how would you describe some of the conversations you've had with Matt Nagy in addition to, you mentioned the questions that he asked. What kind of questions did he ask?
Yeah. I mean, I recognized that early on, that Justin Fields has that type of talent. And that's exactly what the word I used when he got here was generational talent. I would share those things with Matt when we would talk, and he'd come visit. He would just, ask questions about a lot of our guys, but in particular about Justin would just, I can't even remember exactly all the details of it because it was so much conversation, but would just ask, about, his work ethic, who he is, his ability on the field, decision-making. I mean, all of the above. When you make a big decision like that, there's a lot of questions that have to get asked. And Mick Marotti, our strength and conditioning coach, is a huge part of that as well. In terms of giving information to the scouts and the personnel department. So, again, unbelievable job, well done, and excited for the organization.
Mark Grody, 670 The Score.
Hi, Ryan. The Bears are saying, and Ryan Pace is saying that, that they're going to have a plan to develop Justin Fields. Do you think, though, that he would be a guy that would be capable of starting in the NFL on day one, or do you think that that's the wise way to go about it, that there's some development that still needs to be done before you throw him out there?
I think both. I just think that there's development that needs to happen. I think for all the quarterbacks when you look at them, and I think that's one of the things you look at in the history of the NFL and the guys who get drafted. Really interesting to me because when I was in the NFL and coaching the quarterbacks, I'd kind of go through this and study it. Now, being in this role, just kind of studying what makes a successful quarterback in the NFL, and I think having that development package for a quarterback when they first get in is critically important. And, but I also think it's kind of what the expectation is, there's going to be some learning along the way. There's going to be growing pains. And do I think he can play right away? Sure. Do I think he's going to be a lot better in year 3, 4, and 5? Absolutely. And I think that blueprint's out there. And certainly Matt knows that better than anybody.
Thank you.
Dan Wiederer.
Ryan, obviously last fall was incredibly unique, and it's easy to forget how unique it was now, but I'm curious what you witnessed in Justin and his desire to want to get the season going and his influence in allowing you guys to get to a point where he actually could play that 2020 season.
It was unbelievable to watch, certainly one of the more unique times in our country's history. But for Justin, very easily could have said, I'm just going to get ready for the draft next year. But he never flinched. He wanted to play. He wanted another year of experience. He wanted to compete and go beat Clemson and play for a national championship. I mean, that was right on his mind. And because of that, he fought for a season. I mean, he petitioned. He got on national TV. He spoke on ESPN, I think maybe Good Morning America. And, he wasn't reckless about it. I think that's what's really cool about it. I mean, he's really respectful, well thought out. And a lot of people followed him. I forget exactly how many petitions and signatures he got, but it was a lot. And I think that shows you his leadership. And he had an impact. And I think when you go back and look at this, maybe in 10 to 20 years, hopefully it's one of those things you go back on and shows you some early leadership on somebody who did something special, with his entire career.
Nathan Bard, Cleveland.com.
Are you there?
Yep, got you, Nate.
Sorry. I know you probably weren't able to extensively watch the Bears in recent years, but from what you know about Matt Nagy's offensive background with Andy Reid and everything, how do you feel like Justin's skills fit in with those concepts and what they want to do with that offense?
I think it fits really well. Matt comes from a great background, coming over from the Chiefs and what they do. I think they're really, really creative. Certainly study their film a lot and what they do. And I think, they're going to be able to accentuate what Justin does well. And there's a lot that goes with it. That's what's great about, that style of offense. It can go a lot of different ways and there's a lot of flexibility in there. So again, really fired up to see what that looks like.
We're going to take a couple more for Coach Day. Dan Hope.
Hey, Ryan, what does it mean to you, and what do you think it means for Ohio State to have two quarterbacks in 3 years be selected in the top 15 of a draft?
Well, I proud of that. But also it's what you do with the opportunity now. And Justin knows that. And so now, he's got to go about the business of, putting in the work and, building that reputation, the respect in that locker room so he can go have a successful career. And that's the idea. But it is exciting. I got to tell you, it's exciting to have, two guys drafted here in the last 3 years. I think it's great for recruiting. I think, it's an exciting time to be a quarterback or receiver at Ohio State. And it's fun. It's just fun to be a part of this and continue to recruit these people and their families.
Patrick Murphy.
Hey, Ryan. Justin hasn't had to sit behind a quarterback very often in his career. That sounds like it's the plan in Chicago. Knowing him as well as you do, how do you feel like he will handle the development process, the learning behind a starter ahead of him?
I think it'll be great. Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have a long career in the NFL and to grow and develop and build. It isn't to, start to, I got to be there day one and I got to get all this. I mean, there has to be a long-term vision on this. And I know that he understands that, he's played 1.5 years or maybe a little bit more of college football. That's it. And so the ceiling's really, really high. I think that's what I'm sure everybody in the city of Chicago is fired up about. And that's what the Bears organization recognized. But part of this process for him is going to be to sit there, learn early on, learn from some of the other guys, and just keep building as much experience as he can, so that he can have a long career in the NFL, and that's the idea.
We have time for one more with Coach Day. Adam Hogue.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm just curious because sometimes one of the knocks you hear with Justin, one of the rare knocks is the methodical nature of some of his process and decision making. You're his coach, really more about that, and obviously you run an offense where it's a lot of vertical things downfield. It takes time to develop. So how much of it is part of the scheme? How much of it is legitimate? And like any quarterback jumping to the NFL, how do you think he'll handle the adjustment with timing? Because obviously everything's faster in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's super athletic, and he will adjust with what he needs to adjust with. That's the thing about him is if maybe it's not working, he'll get it solved quickly. I mean, the thing I always go back to is, he's never not succeeded in his life at what he's really set his mind to. And so, he was really, really successful at Ohio State. I mean, the numbers speak for itself and what he did. When that game picks up in the NFL, I'd be shocked if he doesn't pick up really, really fast and make those adjustments. Why? Because he can. I mean, he's really intelligent. He's really athletic, and really competitive. So, I mean, he'll get that really, really fast, and they'll train him in those areas. But when he was with us, his decision-making and all that stuff was excellent.
First up, Dan Wiederer, Chicago Tribune.
Justin, good to see you again. You told us last night that one of your greatest strengths was the ability to show up in big moments. I'm curious, as you reflect on your career throughout your entire football journey, what's on the short list for you of those big moments and those big performances that you're really proud of?
Yeah, I would definitely say my 2019 year against the team up north. Of course, that was definitely probably my first, big game of my Ohio State career. And then, of course, this past year playing in the Clemson game and my performance there. So I think, those are two definite highlights of my Ohio State career there where there were big moments.
That 2019 game, what do you recall most vividly? What are you most proud of about the way you guys went up there and handled your business?
Just the way, we treat that game, we treat that rivalry. So of course, that's a big rivalry for us. And, just the way, my teammates went out there. And of course, a big play in the game was when I got hurt. And then of course I came back in and threw the touchdown the next play. So just those plays. And of course, how big that game is to Ohio State and just our, our fans and our community.
Thank you.
Kevin Fishbane, The Athletic.
Hey, Justin, what's kind of your plan now to get to know some of your teammates, whether it's Andy Dalton or some of the linemen? Obviously, it's an interesting situation because you're the young guy, you're the rookie, but you're also a quarterback top pick. So how do you kind of go about approaching it? Have you already had some conversations with some of your new teammates?
Yeah, actually, walking around in the facility today, I met a few guys. I met, Tariq Cohen, and I actually met Andy Dalton out in California before my pro day. So he's a great guy, and my plan on to getting to know my teammates is literally just being myself. So it's definitely an easy job for me, and I just can't wait to meet all of them and get to work with them.
Larry Mayer, ChicagoBears.com.
Hey, Justin, what have the last 24 hours been like for you? You wake up yesterday morning not knowing where you're going to be going, who's going to draft you, where you're going to live, and all of a sudden the Bears pick you, they whisk you to Chicago, and you're at Halas Hall. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's definitely been crazy, but I'm blessed. Yesterday was a little bit hectic for me not really, knowing where I'm going to be, but it's definitely all been a blessing. I really didn't get that much sleep last night. Of course, it was a quick turnaround. I had a flight 6 a.m. this morning, so I just came up here. And since I've been up here, I've enjoyed every second of it. It's a beautiful place, and I'm excited for it.
Hub Arkush, Pro Football Weekly.
Hey, Justin, I'm one of those Team Up North alum that has to learn how to love one of you guys from down south now. So welcome to town. You're going to love Chicago.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
What can you tell us about what was going through your mind, what you were thinking, what you were feeling when you made the decision to transfer from Georgia to Ohio State?
So basically, an opportunity presented itself, and I had to make a decision for my future. And I'm really not going to get into all of the details, but at the end of the day, my family and I thought it was the best decision to play at Ohio State and make that move, and it of course paid off. So I'm definitely glad I made that decision.
Hey, real quick, Ryan Day just told us that it was your pup that got you through the pandemic last year. I'm just curious what kind of dog you have. What is his or her name?
Yeah, I have a French Bulldog, and his name is Uno. So he's definitely a big part of my life, and he's my best friend for sure.
When you meet Tom Thayer, tell him that. Ask him about Ernie.
All right, I will.
Colleen Kane, Chicago Tribune.
Hey, Justin. Obviously, it was made public earlier this week that you were managing epilepsy, and I was wondering if you could just tell us, what it's taken to manage it in your life, and if there was ever a worry if it would affect your football career.
Yeah. So actually, I got diagnosed with it in 9th grade. So basically, it was just I had a seizure in school, and it was crazy because I just woke up in an ambulance. So it was definitely a crazy story for me, but regarding football and has it had an effect on football? It has had zero effect on football. I haven't missed any practices, any games because of it. And it's pretty simple for me to manage it. I just have to take 3 to 4 pills a night every night. So it's nothing crazy. It's kind of a thing that's been there for the past 7 or 8 so years. So I'm used to it, and I'm just gonna continue to deal with it and continue to play the game I love.
Adam Johns, The Athletic.
Hey, Justin, kind of a two-part question. Go back to that transfer. When you went to Columbus, how did you connect with your teammates right away? Like, what did you do? What did you take away from that in terms of becoming a leader on day one there, becoming a starter?
Yeah, of course, I didn't have, personal relationships with, most of my teammates there. So what I pretty much did there was, show show them how much I wanted to win, how much I wanted to be there. And I did that by, working hard in workouts and weight training and, coming in first and, sprint drills and stuff like that. And as time went along, I just, started building personal relationships with, from guys that were freshmen, from guys that were seniors, from guys that were walk-ons. So I think it's, very important to, get to know your teammates and kind of build those personal relationships with them. That way you can connect with them on the highest level.
And then today, when you met the guys at Hallis Hall, I'm curious, as you're walking through the halls, anything strike you, whether it's a picture of Walter Payton or George Hallis's hat? Like, this is a team with a lot of history.
Yeah, I mean, just the tradition here, the history here, the pride, here in Chicago is just unmatched. And, I just love the energy already. And I'm just, glad to be a Bear and, glad to be a part of this great city and great organization. So I'm excited.
Mike Berman.
Hey, Justin, welcome to Chicago and congratulations. I think you touched on this last night, but wondering if you can expand on it. You're sitting inside of Hallis Hall, the headquarters of the Bears, and you understand the history of the quarterback position with this franchise and how tortured the fan base is and how badly they want a franchise quarterback to lead the way. Mm-hmm. How do you look at that opportunity? How do you approach it? How do you look at it? How do you maybe prevent the pressure from pouring down on you?
I don't think there's pressure at all on me because I expect myself to, be a franchise quarterback. So, there's really no added pressure. I came from a big program like Ohio State where, the fan base is very passionate about their sport. So there's definitely no added pressure on me in terms of that. I expect myself to be a franchise quarterback and one day, hopefully a top 5 quarterback in this league. So that's what I'm going to, thrive to do. I'm going to work every day to, reach my goal and to, reach new heights. So, yeah.
Cam Ellis.
Hey, Justin, sort of related to that, I know you filmed the message to fans last night, and I'm sure you've heard from more than a couple since then. I'm just sort of curious what your first impression of talking and hearing from Bears fans has been in the first, 18 hours or so.
Yeah, I mean, these Bears fans from these, first 18 hours or so, they've been great. They've shown nothing but support, and I can just tell, they're all excited, and I'm excited too. So I, just can't wait for the future, and can't wait to be able to spend moments with them, and also with my teammates. So I'm excited.
Sean Hammond, Pro Football Weekly.
Hey, Justin, just curious, who did you emulate when you were growing up in the backyard? Who were your quarterback heroes? And two, as you got older, whose film did you study?
Yeah, I would say when I was, younger, like maybe 8th, 9th grade, it was more Cam Newton. But I would say, these past couple of years have kind of turned more into, a Russell Wilson type quarterback. So I've, watched a lot of film on him. I've watched a lot of highlights on him. So I think, the things that we can do on the field, with both of those quarterbacks, I think, we have a lot of similarities between, extending plays with our legs and, also having the arm talent. So I think those are, a couple of guys that I kind of emulate my game after.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Justin, I wanted to follow up on the question about epilepsy earlier. That came out through a leaked report last week, and I wanted to know how did you feel about that when it came out? Obviously, you hadn't kind of talked about that publicly at Ohio State.
Yeah.
How did that feel, and just kind of how did you kind of handle that?
I mean, it is what it is. It's a part of me. I'm not gonna try to hide it. It's who I am. So there's no really reason trying to hide it. I'm just gonna, just like I said before, I'm gonna, continue to manage this and continue to, play football like how I've always played football. So it's really nothing different for me. And of course, it came from a leak source, but I'm not worried about that one bit. So I'm just happy to be here.
Dan Wiederer.
Justin, curious what in Russell's game impresses you the most, and what traits he has that you really are drawn to.
Yeah, just his deep ball is one. Just off the top of my head, the way he puts a lot of arc on it, his accuracy, of course, and just how he carries himself, as a leader, as a teammate, and I like his game. He's an accurate quarterback. He also uses his legs, so just stuff like that. I think those are some similarities that we have.
Coach Day also brought up the Indiana game, and others have brought it up as well as a game that translated into a learning experience for you. I'm curious how you felt about that game in the moment, and what lessons you took away from it, maybe in terms of pressing and some other things that you drew on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a few plays in that game where I was just trying to be Superman. I was trying to do too much, throw the ball with guys on my back, and I was trying to take it back to I guess middle school days. But yeah, I definitely, learned a lot from that game, and keeping my team in the best position to win, and of course not putting my team at risk to turn the ball over. But yeah, I mean, I think that game was definitely a game that I'll remember for the rest of my life in terms of what I need to do to help put my team in the best position to win and to be successful. So I usually learn from my mistakes, and I'm just going to learn from those ones.
Pat Finley, Chicago Sun-Times.
Hey Justin, how old were you when you first met Trevor Lawrence, and what is that? Go ahead.
I was probably I would say 10th grade maybe.
10th grade. What is that kind of competitiveness been like between the two of you? Whether it's Elite 11, whether it's on the field, whether it's rankings coming out of high school, whether it's matchups in the playoffs in college, and now when you get drafted in the same year, do you find yourself comparing yourself to him and vice versa? And does it motivate you at all?
No, not really. I mean, I think, me and him are used to this. I mean, we've been at it for so long now. It seems like it's been a long time, but I think, me and him, of course, are both great quarterbacks, and I think we love this game. I think we both want to be great. So I'm not really saying that I'm necessarily trying to be better at him in this particular area. I'm just focused on myself and focused on being the best quarterback I can be for my teammates and for my coaches.
When the season starts, though, do you imagine you're gonna on Sunday afternoons when you get done with your job, gonna look and see how he did or follow him from afar?
I'm gonna be looking at everybody and to see how they did, not just Trevor. It's not a one-on-one thing. So I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he has a great career down in Jacksonville.
Mark Grody, 670 The Score.
Your head coach said, Ryan Day at Ohio State said that, I just want to make sure I got it right. He says that you burn hot on the inside, even though a lot of times you can't see it because you kind of seem to have just a relaxed demeanor. Is that the right way to describe it? And where does that even keel come from?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Day, he's one of the coaches that knows me best. So he's definitely right about that one. And, I think the even keeledness comes from, just me, being in so many experiences, involving sports situations in my life. I've played up to, 4 sports growing up. So I'm just, failing at, different sports. I've always tried to, stay even keeled and kind of, try to keep my body language, neutral. So I think that's just where that comes from. My dad has harped on it from when I was a little kid to, just make sure I have good body language and, no matter how I'm feeling, just try not to let others see it. So, yes, sir.
And Justin, one other thing too, do you feel like you could step on the field game one in the NFL? Because right now the plan is to have Andy Dalton be the starting quarterback for the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, that's not up to me. That's up to, coach. And my job is simply to, perform the best I can perform and, be the best quarterback I can be. So I think that's a question for Coach Nagy.
Tim May.
Thank you very much. Hey, Justin, just real quick before I ask you my real question, did you feel there was a
an effort the last several weeks to somehow or another bring you down? I'm talking about from your perspective as you looked at some of the things that came out, much of which was bogus. Just how did you let that roll off your back?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I really can't do anything about it. You know, there were some things said that, you know, that of course weren't true, but hey, at this point, you know, for me at least, the draft is over, and you know, my focus is now is, you know, to turning to, you know, how can I help the Chicago Bears win. So I'm not really worried about, you know, what's has said in the past. You know, that's all said and done with. So I'm here now, and I'm, you know, worried about you know, the present. So.
And one other quickie, who's your favorite to be your successor at Ohio State? There's 3 guys at least in the running, and then what's the best thing you got from your relationship with Ryan Day the last 2 years that you'll carry with you?
You know, if I went to, you know, more practices, I could probably give you a favorite, but you know, I don't have one. But one thing I do know is, you know, all 3 of those quarterbacks down there, you know, competitive. They're smart. They're you know, very talented. And you know, me and Coach Day, we've definitely had a great relationship over these past 2 years of my time being at Ohio State. But you know, one thing about Coach Day is that you know, he's such a good coach. But you know, a lot of you guys don't know this. He's an even better person. You know, just the things that he's taught me in life, and you know, just the lessons he's taught me. It's just, you know, priceless. So I'm just, you know, grateful for all of that, for sure.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Bill from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Justin. In the course of this week, I talked to Wyatt Davis and Josh Byers. They didn't practice for the Alabama game because they were hurt. Ryan Day said today that you really didn't practice much. Could you kind of describe how much you did practice, how much that might have affected your performance, and in light of that, you know, how tough was that matchup for you guys?
Yeah, I don't think me not practicing affected my performance. I think, you know, me being injured that game, you know, definitely, you know, might have, you know, impacted my performance that game, and, you know, what I could have done in the national championship game. But, you know, I think White and Josh, you know, they're tough players. And of course, you know, after the Clemson game, a good bit of us got beat up pretty well. But, you know, I think, you know, no matter how beaten up, you know, we've all could have gotten, you know, that was one more game left. So we were going to leave it all out on the line, you know, regardless. But, yeah, I mean, those guys are, you know, great guys, and they're definitely hard workers for sure.
And how much do you think it could have been different if you guys had been fully healthy?
I think, you know, things could have went, you know, way differently. You know, we'll really never know. So it's, you know, no really point in, you know, hoping for it. So, yeah.
Larry Mayer, ChicagoBears.com.
Hey, Justin, it looked like last year that there might not be a Big Ten season at all, and you were very active in getting that done and getting everyone on the field. Why was it important to you, number one, to play and not just kind of rest and prepare for the NFL draft? And secondly, why was it important to you take such an active role in getting that done?
Yeah, I mean, it was you know, a big thing for me to play, is because I've been playing the football since I was like 5 years old. So I mean, you know, like I think it was maybe 1 or 2 weeks into the season where the ACC and the SEC might have started playing last year, and you know, my teammates and I were sitting at our apartments, literally watching their game. So I mean, that was the weirdest I had felt in a long time. So you know, I wasn't trying to not play the whole season after, you know, we went through winter workouts, summer workouts, and, you know, me seeing the amount of work my teammates have put in the off season, and me knowing how much, you know, they wanted to get back in that position to, you know, be able to play Clemson again. I wasn't gonna, or not wasn't, but I was gonna do, you know, everything that I could to, you know, help get our season back. And one of the reasons why I kind of, you know, pushed that petition was because, you know, my social media is kind of on a bigger platform than, you know, most other college players. So I thought that, you know, the size of you know, my social media platform could have, you know, reached, you know, a lot of people across the country, and, you know, maybe have influenced the decision of, you know, flipping the Big Ten decision to cancel the season.
We're going to do 2 more quick for Justin, followed by a quick photo op. Pat Finley, Chicago Sun-Times.
Justin, you talk about playing four sports growing up. What role did baseball play in your footwork? And how old were you when you decided that you wanted to focus your energies toward football more than anything else?
Yeah, I think, baseball, footwork, I don't know if it has so much to do with footwork, but I think it has something to do with throwing, the ball off platform, especially playing middle infield. You have to throw the ball and run a lot and stuff like that. So I think that's where, baseball comes in to play in the quarterback position. And then also, what was your last question? I'm sorry, I forgot.
How old were you when you decided to push your chips in on football, and what went into that decision?
Oh, I've played baseball all the way up until my junior year. So after my senior year of football, I graduated early from high school and then just went to college. So I played baseball pretty much all the way until like the age of 4, all the way up to my junior year of high school.
Last one, Dan Wiederer.
Justin, just circling back to the conversation about the pandemic, the fall can seem so distant now. I'm wondering if you could put us back in your shoes in August and September and the level of restlessness you felt with the uncertainty that was surrounding you in regards to whether you're going to play and what you take out of that entire 2020 experience, which is obviously very unprecedented and unusual.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time, before they actually canceled the season, there was kind of a part in me that was saying, they're actually not going to do it. They're just saying that because, of course, the SEC and the ACC, they still had their seasons going on. But after that happened, it was like, wow, of course. And I guess, 2020 a recap, it was just a lot of trials that, myself and my teammates had to go through, of course, where we had coaches out of games, players out of games. So I think, going through, that, I guess, situation made us stronger individually and as a team and also as a brotherhood. So I think that made us come together as a team, and it really just made us stronger. So, I think if we wouldn't have gone through that, we wouldn't have been the same team. And I think that definitely made us more mentally stronger.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, media, hang tight here and we'll have a quick photo op opportunity with Justin and his jersey.